Hello everyone and welcome to Nellie's guide to basic Destruction Warlock, in which I'll try to get into the basic of the Destruction Warlock gameplay to help you get a grip on this class and this spec to play in Mists of Pandaria. I'm here in the mob beta server. I don't expect things to change between the beta server and the actual release as far as gameplay goes. Of course, some things that aren't working properly will be fixed hopefully, but as a matter of gameplay shouldn't change much from what it is. Now, before getting into the proper mechanics of the spec, let's have a look to your stat priority. Now, as you may figure, your main attribute is still intellect. Now, some things have changed since Cataclysm, and as far as intellect goes, it does not increase your maximum mana anymore. But that's really an healer issue. You won't have an issue with mana as a warlock, even less as a Destruction Warlock, since you're getting a shit ton of mana regeneration. What intellect still does is it increases your spell power and it increases your spell critical hit chance. So the more intellect you get from your gear, your flask, your potion, the better. Speaking of secondary stats, which are hit, haste, crit and mastery, of course you want to get hit capped as fast as you can. Hit capped in Mists of Pandaria will be 15%, which is around 5,085, 86, something like that, maybe 5,090. You can settle for something lower, like 1495 is okay, 1498 even better. Try to get as close as 15% as possible. Try not to get much further than 15 because it would be wasted stat. Now the best stat you should focus on, especially in the first phases when you have low item level, are haste and mastery. Haste of course increase your casting speed, and that means you generate Burning Ember faster and you spend Burning Ember faster with Chaos Bolt. You rely a lot on arc casting stuff, so the more haste you get, the better. But mastery got a pretty nice rework from Cataclysm, and now your mastery increases the damage of your Immolate, which is your only dot, Incinerate, which is your filler, Fell Flame and Conflagrate by half of your mastery value, and increase the effectiveness of your Burning Ember consuming spells, which are your big new Chaos Bolt and Shadow Burn, which is your execution spell, by the value of your mastery. So it's a flat DPS increase on pretty much every spell you cast. Try to balance haste and mastery and try to find the amount that works for you, especially in the first phases. Critical chance, it's not useless, on the contrary, because every crit hit that you gain on your filler spells increases your Ember generations, and more importantly, your Chaos Bolt is always a critical strike, and its damage is increased by your critical strike chance. So the more critical you get, the harder your Chaos Bolt will hit. Not as good as haste and mastery in my opinion, but still good. Now let's talk spells and what has changed for warlocks in general and for destruction in particular. As warlocks come, we have had some rework on some spells, like Dark Intent is now a raid-wide buff that lasts 1 hour. Hellstones now has 3 charges, not just 1. And Soulstone isn't an object anymore, it's just a spell that you can cast on people, like that, so saves a step. You got a new spell called Demonic Gateway, which allows you to create a link between 2 places, like there's one, and all the raid can just use a charge of the portal to be teleported on the other side. So it's like a demonic circle on steroid. And Summon Doomguard now doesn't snapshot your stats anymore, but it gets dynamically upgraded, and it deals 20% additional damage to targets below 20% health, so it can get useful on an execution range on some bosses. Twilight Ward got reworked and now absorb a portion of shadow or holy damage. And you got a new defensive cooldown called Unending Resolve, which reduces all damage taken by 40% and prevents all spells from being interrupted or silenced for 8 seconds. So pretty big defensive cooldown. You also get a Command Demon ability that allows you to put your demon special ability on your action bar. Nothing fancier than that, still useful. Now, as far as Destruction Warlock goes, we have one brand new nice passive called Chaotic Energy that increases your mana regeneration by 625% and makes your spell haste also increase your mana regeneration. So you're not going to life tap anymore. Even more so, as you don't have life tap anymore, but you have Ember Tap instead, that heals you for 20% of your health by spending one Burning Ember. What is Burning Ember? Burning Embers are your brand new secondary resource that replace soul shards, and you can have up to 4 Burning Embers. You generate 10% of one Burning Ember at a time, and when you're out of combat, you slowly drift toward one Burning Ember. So you'll probably start your fights with 1 Burning Embers. What are your main spells as Destruction Warlock? You got Immolate, which is your usual fire dot, the only dot you're gonna use, that burns the enemies when you cast it and deals periodic fire damage. Every time Immolate critical strikes on cast or on ticks, you generate Burning Embers, 10% of one actually. You got Conflagrate, which is an instant fire spell that generates Burning Embers, and a critical strike double the Burning Ember generation. Also, Conflagrate gives you the Backdraft buff, which makes your next Chaos Bolt or your next free Incinerate have time and mana cost reduced by 30%. You're gonna rely a lot on this buff, especially for Burning Ember generation with Incinerate, but also for some quick nuke with Chaos Bolt. Your filler will be Incinerate, that deals fire damage to your enemy, generate 10% of Burning Embers on hit, 20% of Burning Embers on critical hit. It doesn't deal more damage to immolated target anymore, so you can just spam it without immolating on enemies that dies quickly. Then you have Chaos Bolt, which is your big nuclear blast that costs 1 Burning Ember as a very, very long time cast and always critical strikes. In addition to that, the damage of Chaos Bolt is increased by your critical strike chance. So what you're gonna do is keep your Burning Embers up for when you have some big proc or big on-use cooldown that increase either your intellect or your critical strike, and then cast as many Chaos Bolt as you possibly can. Then you have Shadow Burn, which again costs 1 Burning Ember and can only be used on enemies that have less than 20% health, so it's your execution spell. And if your target dies within 5 seconds of you casting Shadowburn on it and yields experience or honor, you gain 1 Burning Ember instead of spending 1. So you're gonna try to snipe Shadowburn on ads that are about to die to quickly regenerate your Burning Embers and be ready to nuke the boss with some Chaos Bolts. For AoE, you have Rain of Fire, which is your standard AoE that you may already know, but as a Destruction Warlock you don't need to channel it anymore, but you just put it on the ground like good old Death and Decay for the Death Knight, and it just goes for the duration of the spells, which counts as a buff, as you can see from the tooltip. Your Demon Soul spell got reworked in Dark Soul. Every spec of Warlock has a different Dark Soul. Your is, sorry about that, Dark Soul Instability, which increases your critical strike chance by 30% for 20 seconds. So that means it also increases the damage of your Chaos Bolt by 30% for 2 minutes. So you will use it a lot paired with Chaos Bolt. Bane of Havoc got reworked into Havoc, that you cast on your target and makes your next Chaos Bolt or 3 other single target spells cast by you also to strike the target for 15 seconds. So you're gonna use it either to increase your Burning Embers generation speed by basically casting your Incinerate on 2 targets at the same time instead of 1, or you're gonna be nuking 2 targets at the same time by pairing it with Chaos Bolt, or even better with Shadowburn. Last but not least, you have Fire and Brimstone, which is something unique for Destruction Warlock. You can toggle it on and off without cost, and when it's toggled on, your Immolate, Incinerate, Conflagrate and Curse spells consume a Burning Ember and will eat all targets within 10 yards of your current target and deal a portion of their normal damage. That is a big option for AoE, because when you're having like 5 or more targets, every time you cast Conflagrate or Incinerate with Fire and Brimstone up, you're basically regaining the Burning Ember you were using to cast those spells, so you can go on AoEing stuff indefinitely.